sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and can even keep you from getting the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. Welcome to No BS Sales School. I'm your host, Walker McKay. I want you to listen to the podcast today because we're going to talk about 10 things that winners do to stay strong. 10 things that winners do to stay strong. Super important, good stuff here today. Something I want you to pay attention to and put into use, because you may find one or two of these things that you're not doing yet or not doing well enough. And something you incorporate into your life, incorporate into your business, it will improve your game, make you better at what you do. Before I do that, before I dig into that, I want you to know about my new sponsor, Worksby, which is a company that helps pair entrepreneurs and companies with virtual executive assistants. Virtual executive assistants. When I met these guys at Worksby about almost a year ago, my hair was on fire. I was trying to do all my stuff for my business, all the paperwork, all the organization, all the keeping in touch with clients, all that stuff. And it was wearing me out. I was working about 80 hours a week. And the thing is, I'm not so good at all that organizational stuff. I'm not so good at putting things where they need to be. I'm pretty damn good at selling and creating podcasts and creating new material, but I suck at all the detail work. And so I ended up getting referred to this company called Worksby, W-O-R-X-B-E-E, Worksby.com. And they paired me with Cheryl, who is my executive assistant. And Cheryl does everything that I hate to do about business. She does research for me. She goes and puts stuff together. If I have a presentation, Cheryl put together the slides. If I need to communicate with my clients, Cheryl does that. Cheryl sends all the announcements out. I could not do what I'm doing now. I could not do it the level I'm doing if I did not have Cheryl from Worksby to help me here. They've got the best virtual executive assistants on the planet. And I recommend, if you feel like your hair's on fire and you need to get stuff done and you can't figure out how to do it and you don't want to hire somebody full-time, hire Worksby virtual executive assistants. You'll just use them for the hours that they work for you. It's a great program. I highly recommend it. When you call, you're going to talk to Kenzie Biggins. Tell her Walker sent you. There's a special discount. You get 2 hours free of executive service work if you buy their program based upon upon this recommendation. So call Worksby, Worksby.com. All right, 10 ways that a winner stays strong. Everybody knows how hard sales is, how hard business is. We are now, depending on how you count it, it's either the first or the second week into National Screw Off Month, which goes from around Thanksgiving until the end of the first week of January. And it's easy to get sucked into nobody's buying this time of year, no reason to pick up the phone and make calls. That is a bullshit excuse. People are buying and they will continue to buy throughout December. What will happen if you are not making calls now, if you're making that excuse, is not only you have a shitty December, or maybe your December is fine because you worked in November. But I promise, if you don't do the work in December, you're going to have a really screwed up first quarter. You're going to be way down behind, and your competitors are still going to be working, or you hope they're not, but they probably are. So here are 10 ways to stay strong and 10 ways that winners keep themselves strong, right? Things that they have to check themselves on. Number one, I keep the promises I make to myself, right? First thing winners do is keep the promises they make to themselves. Here's what that means. You right now, as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you are selling trust. Ultimately, when you sell, you're having somebody trust you enough to give you money to make a problem go away. That's what sales is, right? And so when you make promises to yourself, you're deciding whether or not your word is worth following yourself. An example would be if you say to yourself, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days this week, and then you only go 2, right? What you're telling yourself is, I don't have to believe myself. I'm not somebody that needs to be responded to. I don't have to be listened to, right? You're taking a little bit of yourself and tearing it up every time you make a promise to yourself and don't follow through. Here's the darker side to that. When you make a promise to yourself and don't follow through, your mind will process it as if you did it anyway, but it didn't work. So you get in this negative cycle, right? You say, I'm going to make 25 calls this week, 25 calls today, and you make none or you make 5, right? You don't do what you said you're going to do. Your mind processes it as if you'd made 25 calls and then nothing happened, right? So you're giving yourself reinforcement that doesn't need to happen. Make promises you can keep and then follow through. Show that you can trust yourself, that you should listen to yourself. Here's number 2. Neither give nor accept excuses. Those of you that listen to this podcast for a while, been clients of mine for a while, will know that I freaking hate excuses. I'm very passionate about not using excuses. The reason I'm passionate about it is because I'm a terrible excuse maker. Or maybe I'm a great excuse maker, right? My first reaction is to not take responsibility. And I got called out on this about 15 years ago, and it changed my life. I told somebody the reason I wasn't successful in my business at the time was because the market was tough, because I was young, and because the company I was with wasn't helping me enough to get in the marketplace. All bullshit. What I should have said was, I haven't figured out how to sell in this marketplace. I haven't figured out how to get the kind of support I need. I haven't figured out how to sell like the guys that have been around longer, right? What that means was I was raw. I didn't have any training, didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I wasn't working very hard, right? But I didn't want to blame me. So much you should blame external things. It can be as simple as that guy won't call me back. Bullshit. I want you to say instead, I haven't figured out how to get that guy to call me back. Take ownership of stuff. If you want to fix the culture in your company, here's what I want you to do. I want you to say to yourself and to somebody else, do me a favor. If you hear me making excuses like, I can't get somebody to call me back, or the economy sucks, or I can't sell because of coronavirus, tell your person in the office, say, I want you to call me on it. And say instead, don't you mean you haven't figured out how to sell during coronavirus? You haven't figured out how to sell in this environment. You haven't figured out how to sell under this compensation plan. And then hold that other person accountable as well. Have a mutual agreement. If you're the boss, make this agreement with everybody on your team. And maybe you begin with a goal, right? Or begin with a little penalty. Say, if I hear you making an excuse, you got to throw $1 in the jar. But if you want to change your culture, that's a great place to start. All right. Number 1 was keep the promises to make to myself. Number 2 is neither give nor accept excuses. Number 3 is to surround yourself with other people who also see themselves as being winners. Surround yourself with other people who also see themselves as being winners. Now, who is that? Because there are lots of losers that see themselves as winners, right? Because nobody wants to think of themselves as a loser. Here's what I want you to look for. Who are the people that are constantly growing? Who are the people that are learning all the time? Who are the people that aren't making excuses? Who are the people that in their spare time are trying to be better at being themselves? Who are the people that are reading and sharing and learning? Who are the people lifting other people up? If you surround yourself with those people, then that will become the norm for you. You will lift yourself up to that level. On the other hand, if you're hanging out with people that don't do that, that are at the bottom or don't give a shit about being any better, then once again, you will see that as normal and you will normalize to that level. There's an old saying, and I don't know if it's true or not. If you look at your 5 closest friends and you average all their income, you'd be right in the middle. I don't know if that's true in your situation or not, but if you think about it, it sure might be. Right? There's a lot more ways to define winner than income, but you are in the comfort zone. You're in a place right now where you think you should be earning the money, doing the behaviors, doing the stuff that the people around you are doing. So if they're doing bad shit or non-productive shit, you're going to think it's normal to do that too. Number 4, work to improve your body, mind, and spirit every single day. Work to improve your body, mind, and spirit every single day. One of the best things I've done for myself this year is I started lifting weights. I never lifted weights as a kid. I wasn't a sports guy much. I'm not a great ball sport guy. I still don't have enough coordination to dribble a basketball, and I'm fine with that. Hadn't hurt me, I don't think. So what I've gotten into with my son is we've started working out. We go to the gym and we lift weights. And it's gone from, light weights, high reps to now we're doing heavier weights and lower reps. And I tell you, it's done wonders for my confidence. I feel so much better. I'm standing up taller. It's also made me tougher. One of the things that I tell people is the only way to prepare for the hard stuff that's coming in your life, because it's coming to every single person, right? Life continues to come at you, and it's not all roses and unicorns. It's going to be tough shit that comes to you. The only way to prepare for that is to do hard things, right? Like making the damn calls you're supposed to make. I would also tell you, like doing hard exercise, hard work, be that running, be that some kind of exercise, be that lifting weights, whatever it is for you, but get used to doing hard work. So when things get hard, you'll be used to it. And while things are easy and you're doing hard work, you'll be crushing it. So improve your body, mind, and spirit. How do you improve your mind? Well, first of all, turn off the effing news. That's just bad. That is anger, fear, all those things wrapped up to get your attention. It's absolute junk food and shit for your brain. Turn off the freaking news. It does nothing for you. Instead, read a book. Hell, meditate. Nothing wrong with that. I've been using the Calm app on the phone. CALM. I think it costs $9 a year. They're guided meditations. It's a great help. I use it. I like it a lot. Helps you show that your thoughts are separate from you, right? A lot of our thoughts are negative. So this kind of helps show you how you separate that from yourself. Number 3 is work on your spirit, right? Whatever your faith is, work on understanding more about why you are and who you are, right? And who you, where you came from. So thinking about bigger than yourself, a higher power, work on that every single day. If you do those things, again, you begin to become bulletproof. The next thing is help other people win. Losers believe that there's only a certain amount of winning that can happen in the world, a certain amount of victory that can happen in the world. And they believe that if I win or if somebody else wins, then they automatically lose. This is why I hate politics. Politics is a zero-sum game. One person wins, another person loses. This is why it's gotten this personal destruction shit that we've been watching that's ruined our country. I think it's been going on for 200 years, but it's a fucking mess. I want you to help other people win. Whether that be younger people on your team, whether that be accountability partners, whether that be people that are calling the same kinds of people you are and you partner up with them and give them leads, help them close business. Do things to help other people. That shit comes back, not one for one, but it's good for the world. All right, it's that ripple effect. And so imagine I think it's a very small percentage of people that make the choice to be a giver. But if you make the choice to be a giver, you will be in the very small amount of people. When two givers meet each other, they'll make each other a hell of a lot of money. It shows right there will be a huge differentiator for you if you're looking for ways that you can help other people. It may not come back to you one from one. It may not come back to you from that person, but it's good for the damn planet. It's good for the world. It's good for humanity. We need more of that stuff right now. Help other people win. The next thing is listen more than you talk. Listen more than you talk. A lot of salespeople got into sales because everybody said, hey, you can talk to anybody. You should go into sales. The reality is all that means is we've encouraged a bunch of people who talk too damn much to go into sales. Everybody's own world is different than yours. We have no idea what somebody's circumstances were, what their proclivities are, what they're thinking, what they're afraid of. Even if you grew up with them, you don't have any idea. And the only way you can begin to learn that stuff is to ask questions and then listen without interrupting. Get other people to share their opinions with you without sharing your own opinion. Nobody will say, or very rarely say, well, what do you think about that? Almost never will they. People love to share their opinions. They just don't get the opportunity much. Try it tomorrow. Have conversations with people. Ask them about their opinions about work, the environment, the economy, the competition, whatever. And then don't share your own. See how hard that is? Because we're naturally wired to want to jump in and say, me too, me too. Don't do it. Listen, make it your job to have other people be what you study. Try and understand how this person thinks, what makes them tick. Number next is You got to realize that even though you may have a bad day, a bad week, a bad year, or a bad season, it does not define you. We're all going to have rough patches. We're all going to have it. My God, my last 10 years of my life, maybe like everybody's last 10 years of life, have been really brutal, right? But every day I got to get up in the morning and I got to face it again, right? Get up, because life goes on. Things pass. It all depends upon all I can control is how I react to things. I can't control what happens, but I can control how I react. And I know that bad shit's going to happen. Good shit's going to happen. None of that defines me. All that matters, I've just finished reading a book called, oh shoot, It Is What It Is. I think that's what it is. Never mind. I don't know what the book was. I'll tell you later on. I'll put it in my book list on the newsletter. But it talks about the power of neutral thinking, that there are no bad days, there are no good days, they're just days. And what we can control is how we react to what goes on during those days. And years, right? There are no bad years. It's funny, 2020 for me, it's been very crazy for me. I've had a lot, and I've talked on podcasts before about how crazy this year has been. My mother died. I've had financial issues up and down. I've also had some kick-ass victories, right? I picked up some great new clients. My business has grown 40%. I've paid off a ton of debt. I've had a lot of, it's neither good nor bad. It's just what it is, right? I can't define it. Doesn't define me, because I got to get up tomorrow morning and start over again, the next day and start over again every single time. And stuff's going to come at me. How do I deal with it, right? I want to deal with it neutrally. What do I do next? And the last thing that is probably among the most important things, and it is close to another one I said. First, I said I want you to surround yourself with positive people, people that see themselves as winners. I don't mean like Pollyannish, everything's going to be great, but here's the part that I want you to pay closer attention to. I want you to remove poisonous, negative, draining people from your life. Poisonous, negative, draining people from your life. Anybody know what I'm talking about, right? You know those guys that are love to be gloom and doom, to tell you that you can't do what it is you're trying to do, that you'll never make it, that you're not good enough. Sometimes these people are the ones that love you the most. Something that can be your parents, it could be a sibling, it could be your best friend. When they see you begin to change and grow, it makes them feel threatened. And so sometimes those people will tell you, you don't need to do that. Hey, that's not that important. You shouldn't have to do that. Or, my God, you're really reaching too high. You're probably going to fail. What I want you to do is push those people to the back of your life. I had a friend of mine who was one of my best friends growing up. And about 10 or 15 years ago, what I found was his life, he's a wonderful guy, and I still love him, but I don't spend time around him. His life is going nowhere. He has no ambition. He's doing as little as he can do to get through life. And I care about him, but I can't let him be in my life because he drags me down. So I came across this poem. I guess it's a poem, nothing rhymes. But it's a poem that I read. It's by one of my favorite authors, anonymous. And I'm going to read it to you. It's called Life is a Theater. If you're on my newsletter list, you might get this. Let me read it to you and see if it resonates with you. See if anybody stands out. It's called Life is a Theater. Invite your audience carefully. Not everyone is healthy enough to have a front row seat in our lives. There's some people in your life that need to be loved from a distance. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you let go of, or at least minimize your time with, draining, negative, incompatible, not going anywhere relationships or friendships. Observe the relationships around you. Pay attention. Which ones lift and which ones lean? Which ones encourage and which ones discourage? Which ones are on a path of growth uphill and which ones are going downhill? When you leave certain people, do you feel better or feel worse? Which ones always have drama or don't really understand, know, or appreciate you? The more you seek quality, respect, growth, peace of mind, love, and truth around you, the easier it will become for you to decide who gets to sit in the front row and who should be moved to the balcony of your life. If you can't change the people around you, change the people you're around. Remember, the people we hang with have an impact on both our lives and our income. So we got to be careful to choose the people we hang out with, as well as the information with which we feed our minds. Do not share your dreams with negative people, nor feed your dreams with negative thoughts. It's your choice and your life, and it's up to you who and what you let in it. I'm going to close there, but I want you to think about that. And who is a negative, draining person in your life that you probably need to distance from? You don't even have to tell them. You don't have to say you're a negative, draining person, I'm getting rid of you. Just don't call them back so often. Don't invite them to hang out with you all the time. When they invite you to do stuff, be less available. It's amazing what happens to your mindset when you stop hanging out with people who limit you or who try and drag you down. And a lot of it is not out of spite that they do that. They love you. They don't want you to fail, but they have lower vision for you than you have. Thank you all for listening today. No BS Sales Team, you were great. I appreciate the feedback that you give me in this podcast. I love the emails that I get saying what you learned. Business is growing nicely. If you know somebody who's an entrepreneur who's trying to grow their business and maybe sales is something they're struggling with and they just need some help doing that, I'd love to talk to them. Email me, walker@walkermckay.com. Go to my website, walkermckay.com. Let's have an OBS conversation. We're starting programs, a couple of programs this week for people, for sales teams, and for individual entrepreneurs who are looking for help. Go to walkermckay.com. Thank you so much. Go check out my sponsor, WorksBee. Call Kenzie, talk to her, tell her I sent you. Y'all go be good. Keep moving.